Do 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 do. Hey everybody, Mark Vo with VOGTLAND Outdoors. I'm just getting back from the Ranger's office. It's Friday. The weather went from 73 degrees last night down to 38 degrees today at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But you remember from my previous videos yesterday or 2 days ago, I was seeing a lot of hoof prints out there, and I was a little worried that maybe they're coming out in the morning and I was going to miss out because I was going to come out in the afternoon, like somebody's going to beat me. And sure enough, there were already about 11 hunters in the woods already this morning, and already 8 of them have already punched out, putting in 5, 6, and 7 hours of hunting with that beautiful line through how many turkeys did you harvest, how many deer did you harvest, how many does did you harvest, straight line, meaning they didn't get anything, which means that activity might actually be happening at sunset, at sundown, not at sunrise, because those guys had first dibs on any deer. When it gets colder like this, we're going to start seeing the deer out in the fields right when the sun goes down. That's what we want. But that means they have to come from somewhere. They're not out in those fields right now. They're out in the woods right here. And I don't want to go back to that spot. It wasn't very productive. I didn't see as many tracks. We're going back to section A over here where I saw all the prints and where I got a missed shot at a turkey, but at least I got it. And I'm going to go and set up my ghost blind. Why? Multiple reasons. 1, I really need to be invisible this time around. 2, it's cool enough that I can walk around carrying it and I'm not going to get all sweaty like I have the last couple of times out with it. 3, it's not as far a distance. I'm only going to be walking about a half mile to get to where I want to set this up, and I'm going to try to set up on the corner of the field where the turkeys were. That I hope is going to give me 2 options at sunset. It's going to give me an option back at the turkeys where it's only going to be around a 40-meter shot, maybe a 30-meter shot if I'm really lucky at a turkey, and the deer are going to be moving in and out of there. So hopefully it's going to be a path there. I'm not quite sure about the deer part, because the funnel where all the deer were going into the woods, that was on the completely opposite side of the field from where the turkeys showed up. So I'm kind of stuck. Like, I have to decide what I want. If I want the turkeys and their creatures of habit, I got to set up on one side of the field, and the deer are not going to be there, or at least I don't know if they are. I didn't see tracks. Or if I want the deer, I got to set up on that side of the field, and the turkeys are not going to come over there because there's a whole peninsula splitting this field up into, I think I calculated it out to be about 12 acres, 15 acres, 5 on one side of the peninsula, a peninsula that splits from west to east, and then the other 10 acres on the other side where the turkeys are. So I got a dilemma that I got to figure out in about 2 minutes, because I'm going down there and taking a left-hand turn, and then I'm in the parking lot. There's only one other vehicle there. Hopefully he's not set up where I'm planning on setting up. Yeah, I got high hopes today, guys. More than any other time I've been out this season, I got high hopes that something might happen. The temperature is right, it's cold, they're going to need food, so they're going to be more motivated to get up and start feeding as soon as they think that it's safe. And that sets the advantage all for me. Let's get set up. Okay, I'm going to do something that might seem counterintuitive, but I want to explain it. The field I'm hunting in goes over that way, makes a big square, comes back here. That's 5 acres, and then there's 10 more acres over there, and the wind is blowing that way. Now, I told you guys on Wednesday I was planning on setting my stand up over there, because I think the deer are going into the woods in the morning, and they're going to be coming out in the woods to start gleaning these fields in the evening time, and I want to be there. The wind is not at my advantage today. The wind is blowing that way. It's blowing across the field and into the woods. So if I'm standing on the edge of the woods, my scent is being carried into the woods where the deer are, not to my advantage. What do? I just went over here. I'm upwind. I'm upwind a couple of 100 yards. I just peed right there. Now you'd ask, why the hell did you pee there? The deer are going to smell that. Well, that's my plan. My plan is that the deer that are down that way are going to pick up that scent, but it's going to feel like it's far off. Deer are pretty sharp. They can smell old pee, new pee. They're going to pick up on that pee, and if I am carrying any scent way down there, it's going to get masked by this scent, hopefully, that they're going to pick up on this scent, and they're going to decide that what they're smelling is actually far off, when in fact, I'm right there. So there's my thinking. Let's see if it works out. When you got cold weather, guys, dress in layers. And when I mean layers, the layers trap dead airspace and form an insulating barrier between you and the wind. And this cold wind is coming in from the north right now. And it's cold, it's 30, and it's going to be flurries tonight here. So it's going to get down to freezing. When I say layers, I mean layers. I'm going to be wearing 6 layers of clothes. T-shirt, turtleneck, 2 vests, and an outer vest or an outer leaf jacket, and then a blanket on top of that is my 6th layer, just to give you an idea. And I'll be toasty warm, but if I start to get hot, if I start to sweat, you peel 1 layer off at a time so you stay warm but not sweaty. That's the goal. But to do that, you have to have a lot of layers. That's what you got to do. Just letting you know. I was going to try to be quiet, but I can't help myself. I walked from over there, but that's the peninsula, all the way down to there. I just got done walking around here. Another funnel right there, another funnel right there, another funnel right there. And as I walk towards, I want to set up over here because the turkeys are going to come out over there if they're creatures of habit. And as I'm walking down along this way, look at the size of the tracks I'm seeing. Big deer. That's a big deer walking slow. Those are big tracks, and they came in just today. That is a big animal. He's walking there, and only 2 feet away he's putting his other foot down, and 2 feet away he's putting his other foot down, and his feet are big. He is just walking and taking his time, which means he came out over here right where I want to set up. My heart's already beating. My heart's already pounding, and I haven't even set up yet. Let's go find out where he goes in, and I want to set up 15 yards off of that with the wind going that way so he can't smell me. His scent is coming to me, not my scent coming to him. But I'm also staring like crazy in here. For all I know, he could actually be right in here somewhere, anywhere. Can I shoot through that? Fuck no. Will I try? Fuck yeah. I will hold back. I will draw back as hard as I can until I got a 40-pound bow pulling 60 pounds, and I'm gonna let fly if I see one of them in there. Why not? Let's get set up. I'm only 10 feet down from where I was. I just want you guys to see what small tracks look like again. Here's a baby. And you see how my little finger barely fits inside there. That's a fawn or even a doe, and not even a big doe at that. So there's a whole lot moving around in here. This is literally deer hunting central right now. There must be a whole bedding area all down in here somewhere, and Chappaqua Lake is right on that side. I got a tough choice to make. I brought my water bottle for drinking, but I didn't bring anything to pee in. So eventually I'm gonna have to make a decision. Do I pee on the grass and risk them smelling that? Or do I drink all the water down, empty the water container out by drinking it and pee in it, just to keep the water in, keep take any chances. You control whatever you can control, and the rest, it's up to the gods. Big dog. See how much bigger those are? They're easily twice the size of the prints that were there before. So if whatever was there was a 100-pound fawn, this is a 200-pound deer. It does scale up linearly. And he walked right into the woods here. Like right there. Now here's the scary part. Here's the scary part about hunting on the edge of a field. You got a clear shot in every direction, but you got a huge shot in every direction. What I'm hoping for is that I'm going to set up right on the ground right here and hope that something comes right through the woods right here. So the shot's going this way, and it's only about 15 yards. And I see all this broken grass here. So they are coming through here, and they're coming through in droves, like it's scattered. Some here, some there, today, tomorrow, or yesterday, day before yesterday. They're not walking on any one single deer path. They're just coming in. So, it's a long shot, but you got to decide when you're hunting what you're going to do. You got to pick a spot and hope that it works. And that way, if the turkeys come out, I've got about another 60-yard shot that way to the turkeys. What a dilemma. So I'm actually contemplating literally laying down on my stomach in these soybeans for the rest of the afternoon just to see. I would have great visibility, but there's no element of surprise. You have to pop up, take a shot. This is where you don't look with your eyes, you look with your ears and don't move. This is also when you start squinting. You don't need them seeing the whites of your eyes. And if you move only when the wind rustles through the trees up there to cover the sound of your motion. And you move really slow because they can detect the horizontal motion very easily. Their eyes are designed for that. So everything has to be as slow as everything else here. It's all moving, but it's not moving fast. That's what gets picked up against the background motion. You have to be as slow as the background motion. You understand? As slow as the background motion, and then you can choose, you can move as much as you want. Because you're just another tree, you're just another bush. Thought I heard something back there. I know there's a trail. Because this is the oak grove where I got my last 2 6-pointers. I just came in from the backside instead of from the south, instead of from the north, like I'm doing right now. I've never done this. This is where I thought I saw the mountain lion maybe too. That's a little spooky. I'm gonna put you away. Okay, here's the thought process, guys. I'm gonna bed down right here because I've got this that I can see through and see deer coming out here. They're gonna walk right through until they're a clear shot onto the branches. But I've got time to see them, hear them, and even set up. Well, I've got this for cover, and I'm on the ground on my knees. I've got potentially a shot at any turkeys that come out because they came straight out to the north here. We're looking straight east. They came out to the north on Wednesday. They started screwing around coming this way. They did not continue going north, so they're going to come at me if I'm lucky. And I have a little bit of cover here. But usually just stay on my stomach and look up and see them coming. If anything comes down this way, I've got a little bit of coverage here that if I stay on my stomach, I've still got some natural coverage. Stuff they've seen before over and over and over. So if I don't change it, they'll be off their guard. And if they come in from behind me when I'm not looking, I'm fucked. You gotta make some decisions. If I set up over there on the other side, I would still have coverage, but I wouldn't have a shot. They'd literally be right on me and only 2 meters away. What do? You can't take that shot. It's too close. You reach out and hit them on the head, jump out and bite them in the throat. No. So that's too close. This gives me a little bit of everything. But there's a very real chance I'll end up with a long shot, 40, 50 meters. Oh well. Time to curl up. It's about 1 hour, 2 hours. Remember, this is 1 hour. Put your bottom of your finger on the horizon. 1 hour, 2 hours, 2 hours to sunset. So if the sun sets at 4:30, it's about 2:30 right now. And they're not coming out until 4 o'clock. So I gotta not freeze to death in the next hour and a half. I'm replaying in my head just how tough a shot this is going to be, because it's on my direct right side, which means I'm going to have to let him come until he's right here. And that's the one I'm going to have to take the shot full on. Or if I'm lucky, they're coming from up here. I'm hoping for both. But if he's coming from over here, it's going to be a tough shot. But I'll be able to hear him, so I'll know the tough shot's coming. Or the easier shot, and if he's coming up this, stepping on all of that soft mud, I won't even hear him until he's on top of me. It's going to be tough. But this is the quietest stuff to move around in compared to the brambles that were over there. That's all right underneath the maple trees. So crunch, 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 crunch. Horrible. Noisy. Even if it sets me up with a left-hand shot, it sets me up badly. It sets me up badly if there's any turkeys. Whew. Tough, tough, tough. I think I'm going to just lay down and look at the sky. Pretty. Those are, what the hell kind of tree are those? They're like naked maple trees. They're called sycamores, I think. Or, no, those might be walnut trees. Those are still ripe walnuts that haven't fallen yet. Wow. A ton of them. Which means the deer might be coming right over there. Holy crap. Well, we're going to find out. I got another thing working in my favor. The sun is setting in the southwest, which means that's west. So if we orient ourselves, we see the wind is actually coming from the west. And on a cold night, deer despise the wind. It'll kill them. So they're going to want to get on the lee side of that wind, something that acts as a windbreak, which means what's on the other side, the open area, the field. The field is going to be really good, really attractive to them tonight. They're going to want to get on this side and stay right up against the trees in order for the trees to act like a windbreak. Let's hope this all works out. Sometimes when you're sitting waiting, all you can do is think. That's what I'm doing. Thinking. It's about 2:30 going on 3 o'clock right now, and that's right about when the turkeys showed up yesterday. So I'm going to stay on my back, my stomach, and look out this way and start looking for the turkeys. It's dark out. What an interesting day though. Right at nightfall, I'm over here in the dark. The whole idea was that the wind's coming across from camera right to camera left. You can see the clouds. So I'm expecting deer to be coming from the north, coming south across that trail, and then into the soybeans that were left over here. It's the only thing inside 12 acres. It's the only little patch of soybean. So I'm looking down here, looking down here, looking down here, and where do I see them show up? Out of nowhere. I just got this sense. My peripheral vision on my right side told me to turn my head, and as I'm looking out this way, I turn my head, and right over in the corner here, still a 70-yard, 80-yard shot, guys. A beautiful 6-point buck suddenly shows up. And right behind him, two other big ones. They're big, too big to be does, but I couldn't see any antlers on them. Antlers are really easy to spot at twilight. They tip their head up. You see all kinds of white, nice white throat on him, everything. He came out. He's downwind right where I peed. My pee trail, my smell would have went right to him. He didn't seem disturbed at all. He's walking out. As I turned, he did look up my way, and we had a staring contest where I just stayed still, and he didn't bolt. So he decided I wasn't there. The other two came out. They started walking out into the field. I slowly started to rotate towards them. He's still broadsiding to me. That's the first good sign that you're doing all right, is when they turn broadside to you. They're only using one eye to look in your direction. They use the other eye to look in the other direction. You know, and prey animals like deer don't have great binocular vision. Their eyeballs are on the sides of their heads so that they have great peripheral vision everywhere, 360 degrees. It's more about looking for danger and detecting motion than it is about detecting distances, range finding. They're not a predator, so you don't have to worry about that. So he's only got one eye on me. He's broadsiding. The other two pop out. I'm wondering how the hell they're going to get any closer, because while they're typically a deer is going to move upwind, he was moving crosswind across the field here. He wasn't getting any closer. And then he seemed alerted, but not to me. He turned and was looking into the woods. He's not looking at me over here. He's looking over here somewhere. Something was alerting him. And he took a step back and he was looking. Then he went closer. In other words, he wasn't even aware I was here anymore. He was paying attention to something over here in the woods. And I'm wondering what it could be. Eventually, the two does, I think they're does, or the two antlerless deer, they got skittish and shot down over here this way, and he followed them, but he acted like he didn't want to go. Like he was wondering what's going on. He finally threw his tail up at the end and went into the tall grass and then back into the woods. But they were heading over here because something over here spooked them, and I was over here, and they were paying attention to something here and finally ducking back in over on this side. Why were they ducking in on that side? Because that would have been downwind of whatever they thought the predator was, so they'd have a smell of him. Good strategy by the deer. Well, I'm wondering what's going on. 5 minutes later go by, I hear crunching coming up behind me and walking alongside. I turn very, very slowly, get my bow ready. It's freezing cold right now. My fingers are frozen, guys. It's freezing cold. I turn slowly. What happens to be walking right by me, not 30 yards away, and is totally unaware of my presence, another hunter. He was the one that was in the woods. He was the one that spooked them, and they shot in, and then he finally gave up. So he was actually walking back to his vehicle, I suppose. why he's walking in the middle of the fucking bush right at nightfall. That's the last thing you do, is run around crunching around in the middle of the bush. Right at twilight, guys, that's when you're sitting still. That's when you're most quiet. That's when you're zero noise, zero anything. Is that your best shot? This guy's crunching through a bush. Not even walking down a trail or anything. He was disappointed that the deer ran away from him. He spooked him and he was walking in. He didn't even know I was there. Ground blinds. God. Jesus, guys, it's like 31 degrees and 30 mile wind. It is bitter. I stayed out as long as I could. Day hunting. I don't know what I would have done if I'd have got one right now. I'd be sitting here in the field or in the bush in freezing weather, fingers frozen, trying to field dress a deer. Yuck. Anyway, fun times. Let's get out to the Jeep right there. Hey everybody, it's Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors. It's 34 degrees outside and getting colder. It's a freezing Sunday midday. I'm done with my data science certification and I'm headed into the woods. Now you're probably asking, why am I going into the woods on the weekend when I hate being around all the crazy people? My answer is, it's goddamn cold out and I'm hoping they're not going to be there. And Sundays, I'm hoping they're all watching football. So today, with only 1 week to go before the rifle season starts, I'm only going to get today and maybe 2 other days this week to be out in the woods. This is going to be my best chance to try to get a deer. I want that buck coming back out. I want him getting closer, and I'm going to be on the ground. You're probably asking, why do you want to be on the ground? I'll tell you guys, because when you're up in one of those trees 15 feet and the wind is coming out of the west, I talked to you in the earlier video, you're going to last about 2 hours, maybe 3, and you're going to be miserable. I mean, to the point of hypothermia. Your best bet is being on the ground. And what we saw from 2 nights ago, 2 days in the evening, right at twilight, was that I had deer coming within 70 meters of me, nice 6-point bucks, directly downwind of me, and they didn't seem to care. So the shot's going to be possible, but what's going to work in my favor, by being on the ground, I'm going to be able to stay warmer longer. So I'm going to be going in with nothing but a simple little triangular stool, my little tripod stool to start, and I'm not going to be sitting in it all the time, but I'm going to be coming in wrapped all the way around, like you wrap a towel around when you're in the shower, that kind of thing. I'm going to be wrapping myself up. My whole lower part of my body is going to be wrapped with reflective blankets and insulated camouflage colored blankets and a leaf blanket on top of that, a leaf poncho. So I'm going to be dressing in layers right down to the ground, and I'm going to have a blanket on the ground too. You got to stay warm. You can't go getting sick trying to get a deer, and it's going to give me my best shot for being on the ground, waiting for that magical shot to happen somewhere after 3 p.m. So it's 11:30 now. I got about an hour to get ready. I'm going to have my electric vest on. I'm going to have my snowmobile suit on for the first time. Everything to try to keep warm so that when I'm on the ground, I can stay warm and be ready for the shot. Mostly, my hand has got to be warm. A frozen hand can't hold on to a bowstring. Your fingers can't stay clutched for 30 seconds. You start to slip. It's quite an interesting phenomenon. All right, let's go get ready. All right, I'm at Shabanaw, but I already went past my favorite spot, my favorite parking, and there were already 4 pickup trucks in the parking lot. Typical weekend. Headed to the ranger station to see when they might have checked in, to see if there's people that have already left. We're coming up, we're headed west on the south side of the property. This is all Shabanaw State Park. There's nobody in this one, so it may be that this is where I'm going to come in today. I'm not keen on that because I don't know how much activity is going on over here. If I was going to be anywhere, I would want to be along the edge of this field, but maybe, just maybe, there's going to be deer walking through there. Maybe I'll go in and look at that field, but it's probably private property and I'd be trespassing if I went on it. We'll see. It's that soybean patch that I'm relying the most on. That's what's actually, I think that's where they're going to be hanging out. Okay, we signed into A, B, and C, and I'm still going to go back to A because that's where the deer are, man. I know there's going to be other hunters in the area, and now we got to try to figure out how to not piss them off because you don't know where they are. If they're as smart as I am, I know where they're probably going to be, but that's not going to stop me from going and sitting there and then finding out if I got to move or not, and hope that at 1:30 in the afternoon it's not spooking any of the deer because they're not even coming out of hiding for another 2 hours. I'd rather come in on a Monday, rather come in on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday morning or Wednesday afternoon when nobody's around. Then you never have to worry about that. Oh, the other thing, I'm going to be talking a lot less today. I can't be walking and talking and stuff and possibly spooking deer when there might be a hunter nearby and he's going to be annoyed saying, what are you doing talking near his stand, that kind of thing. Just a courtesy. So it'll be quieter today, just letting you know. One last thing, like it or not, I'm going in with my Junzing bow today. If I get a shot, one, it's black. It's a lot less noticeable in the twilight hours, whether I got it at an angle or not. It's already black. It's got a black string. It's got a better center cut rest, and I'm less prone to, it shoots straighter than that little Asian bow. I just haven't become proficient enough that if I get a shot, it's guaranteed to go in with the little Asian bow. I might flex my hand, go off to the side, and I just don't want that. Down in the ground blind, without a ghost blind anyways, it doesn't matter if my bow's a little on the tall side or not. I don't think it's going to matter. It's always darker than you think it is. Didn't see a single deer today, but 5 pickups in one parking lot. So most of them I think already left. It's already 5:30, so it's 5:20. It's well after the last possible shot of the day. Even when you don't see deer, even when you don't get an opportunity, it can still be a good day. There were some learnings. I bought some new leaf covered gear today, this season. I bought some leaf covered gear, a new little hoodie, a little face hood, a mask, gloves, and a poncho. It was all leaf covered and kind of meshy. It's not solid. It's not a rain poncho. It's a camouflage poncho. And I was kind of wondering what to do with it because a leaf covered poncho is useful when you're shooting a rifle, but when you're trying to shoot a bow, the poncho's going to get in the way. The string's going to catch it. And you're not going to get a good shot. So it seemed kind of useless, but what I found out tonight was right during twilight is when your legs start to fall asleep. And you want to stand up, but if you stand up, then the shape of your legs becomes very apparent. Those lines, you show a profile that looks like legs. So I actually just wrapped the poncho around my hips like a hula skirt, and I'll be damned if I didn't literally disappear. I mean, I disappeared. I ceased to exist against the background. So everything I got going on up above is already hiding my profile very nicely. It's really hard to see. You can't see my hands, you can't see my arms. If I move slowly, I don't exist. But now from the legs down, with that skirt wrapped around me, my whole shape utterly disappeared. So I could literally stand the last half hour of the night And if I stand on my other insulated blanket, then my feet don't get so cold because they're not touching the cold ground with the boots. And I'm not stepping on leaves. So if I lift my feet up on my blanket, you guys can't even see. If I'm on a blanket walking, you can't hear me. I can shift directions to try to take a shot at a deer. So those are two great learnings. It works so well. I disappeared so thoroughly that in the last 5 minutes, I actually had 2 squirrels come up, literally up to my heels, coming up from behind me, and I didn't want to move and spook them, but they were getting closer and closer, and you start wondering what it actually is. Like, what if it's not a squirrel? What if it's a skunk? I don't want to surprise a skunk. That skunk's going to surprise me. So I finally turned around and snapped my fingers, and you could tell he had his little what the fuck moment because he was walking up next to this leaf-colored, this trunk, this old tree trunk covered in leaves, and it wasn't a tree trunk, it was me. Wow, I blew him away. Anyway, that made me feel good. So I'm camouflaging well enough I can have a squirrel sneak right up to me. And he didn't give a shit about my scent. I caught him totally off guard. He literally came up to the heel of my boot. Spooked him. Plus, we got a way to hide my shape. If I get out here 1-2 more times this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, we got a pretty damn good shot. Good opportunity at getting a deer before the rifles come in and ruin it all. That's it. Nice sunset. This is Mark signing off for the day. Cut.